Here we are, time for episode 2. Hopefully y'all enjoyed episode 1. This is where people started getting upset, so let's find out why. This episode includes a person who has transitioned. For the purposes of storytelling, this production refers to them as the same name and gender they were at the time the events occurred. Alright, so we're going with that version of it. That would probably be one of the reasons people got upset, because technically that's dead naming them.
But they specifically said that, though.
But it is who's there at the time.
I think the argument is that dead naming is dead naming because you no longer identify with that name no matter what. But the problem is, just because you don't identify with a name doesn't mean that you're not still legally bound by crimes you committed under that name, and that they don't follow you using that name.
I'm not even caring about that part. I'm saying if it's that person, they were alive at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
If we count the name as the identity, we're referencing an identity that was alive at the time it is being referenced.
That's true as well.
It's not disassociating them from their true selves now, but it's still their past name. And we're talking about the past here, not the present.
We're still gonna get shit and be called anti-trans.
I don't want people to realize that he's been telling people lies.
There we go. There's what you should have been showing the first episode.
I think he enjoys watching.
This is what they needed to start episode 1 with. Or have an episode 1. But they are starting too strong.
Onision took this younger woman, showered her with attention, made promises, and fulfilled his fantasy of an intimate relationship. And when she wouldn't remain under his...
You know, up until that part, Chris, all you've described is every single relationship on Earth. You really are fantastic at describing things in a way that means nothing.
Well, he threw the word younger in there, so...
When he couldn't control her, which a lot of this for Onision is about control, it all blew up.
Also, can I complain about the masonry of that wall behind him?
And they put me in a psychiatric ward.
Good. Like,
My mom got
that
caught
probably
up,
saved you, honestly.
and they came and got me.
Are these from Greg's videos, or did they... Like, were those clips from Greg's videos?
That seems like the stuff he'd make.
Or... Right, but they didn't include a video title on it like everything else. Which says
They
to
have
me...
done some jump cuts of just small stuff in between things a few times before.
I guess.
Or are these supposed to be dramatizations of how she was feeling?
Exactly, I can't tell.
I don't know.
Isn't there this where he goes nuts?
Which time?
The first time.
Hasn't he been nuts this entire time?
It's 5:30 a.m. I've been editing a video all night, and talking to
Okay, there we go.
Her name's Adrian.
We're doing things in a proper timeline for once.
I asked her out and she said yes. Now a big void in my life has been completely filled.
He started.
You ever notice he has to be dating someone?
Yeah, I know.
Or else he talks like that? And I'm like, how much of that is him being manipulative? And how much of that, just to sort of psychoanalyze, is him not being able to live with himself and needing someone else in his life so that he doesn't have to focus on himself?
See, when you're the only one there, your feelings kind of reflect inward on you, and you can't
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
project them and...
So maybe he should have been single for a while to learn how to better himself as a person instead of...
Oh, if he
trying
was
to-
single for long enough, he'd probably kill himself.
Adrian decided that he was too crazy, too maniacal to deal with. Onision then...
Says who? Here's the problem, Chris. That's your words, not hers.
Well,
And we trust your words as far as I can throw him.
I don't know.
I feel like they would probably have used her words if she didn't refuse to speak. This is kind of the issue where this is the information they have is his words on the matter.
And
Yeah.
a letter.
Yeah.
So,
Which I guess she gave permission via the letter for them to talk about it.
I'm just saying their ability to have not Chris's words is fairly limited.
Yep.
But they could have put it in anyone else's mouth. Like, if Edwin had said the exact same phrase that Chris just did, I would believe it much more.
That's because you're already biased about Chris being a liar.
Because he is.
Yes, but you get my point what I'm saying.
That's like saying I don't believe what comes out of Onision's mouth. No one has a problem with it if we say that.
Because we've seen it in the documentary, why not trust that?
Ugh.
You're relying on outside resources.
Yep.
I still trust that sagging jawline.
I think I went back because
Yeah.
I was truly convinced that I had some issues to go work out.
This has to be after the fact footage. How'd they do that, though? Like, did she shave her head again for this documentary?
Or they get someone who looked like it. That tattoo on the struggle does look fairly fresh, so there's a chance it's just like temporary inked on.
Huh.
You know there are bald wigs.
I would more believe you if you told me that blonde hair she has on now is the wig.
You know, that would make sense.
I was very hurt at the
Yo,
time.
look at her eyes. Even when she smiled there.
It was.
I mean, I'm partially blaming that on the lighting.
That
Those
wasn't
just-
just the
those look
lighting.
more unnatural than dead.
I don't know, like, even when she smiled and shifted, the lighting can't have done all that.
No, but those were not human eyes. I looked at her and went, oh, she's an alien for this shot. Oh, that's not a filter.
I was really excited. I was terrified because I was young. I was
Who
only
wouldn't
18
be?
at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Terrified's the
I went in
natural
for a
reaction
6-week
here.
ultrasound to check on the baby and check on the heartbeat, and there was no
We're
heartbeat.
using that shot again.
They seem to really like that shot.
So she said that the doctor made an error and that she's not going to die. So it's good news. This
The doctor messed up and that's why she's not gonna
multiple
die?
times in the past.
They did not do a good job of explaining this. She went back to Toronto because she claimed to have sepsis. Like, they thought it was lethal. She couldn't really be treated in the United States properly. I don't remember why, so that's why Greg let her go back to Canada.
Okay.
And he didn't want her to?
And then... No, of course he didn't want her to.
Wonder if this was a subliminal move on her part to get away from him again.
That's always part of the argument, because if I remember the drama correctly, she started dating someone very quickly afterwards, and Greg has suggested several times over the years that she was dating that person before she came back and was with him, and it wasn't actually his baby, it was that person's baby. And it's good the baby was lost, and that she lied about having sepsis to go back to Toronto and leave him and go be with this person.
I don't even necessarily have to lie about it, but like if in the back of her head she still knew she was in the wrong place, the mind can create the feelings of it, which can help the doctor find it. So even if she did think she wanted to be with him at that time.
Yeah. So it could be the doctor made a mistake, it could be she was lying. There's no way to know.
Yeah.
And on that one, I feel like we should give her the benefit of the doubt, because that's a really big illness to fake.
I know.
Yeah, and even if I'd like to believe the doctor did believe it at least.
Yeah.
That was the last time I ever saw him. That was it. It was over.
And here's the thing, this is finally really powerful, right? It could be so much more powerful.
Explain.
This is the second time he's done this.
Oh.
Actually, third time in the timeline where he has turned on a previous partner and sent the hate mob after them and manipulated them and then tried to love bomb them. And again, because they worked with Chris Hansen and couldn't, and the victims wouldn't work with them because of it, his first wife, he tried to love bomb repeatedly. And he sent the hate mob after her after she brought him to court. The girl that he was talking about, that he was only with for a short time, that only sent the letter, he did the same thing to her. This is a pattern. If they hadn't botched this whole documentary from the outset, they could have made what's already actually a pretty powerful, well-done moment into so much more by being able to talk about this stuff.
I will say, seeing as you're the one that explained that he's trying to say she was dating someone else and that was his kid, all his complaints about her allegedly being pregnant with his kid makes it sound like, yeah, no, she found a fake pregnancy test positive.
Yeah, I know.
And,
I can't
faked
remember.
ultrasounds.
That might actually be what he did claim.
How can you fake ultrasounds?
I don't know, maybe he didn't go in, but that seems unlikely.
Yeah, exactly. I swear Eugenia was before this. But I guess not.
I just feel sorry for her for the last name Cooney.
I know.
Why did you hold on it for so long?
Well, it's so
Like-
boomers can figure out it's a video that they're showing of theirs.
They held on that for so long.
Then from there, just kind of kept making more and more.
This is the first person whose teeth have more weight to them than their arms.
And shit needs to eat more food.
He kind of was mostly attacking me, kind of like for my appearance. I know sometimes it's like a big topic that people will kind of like judge me about.
He's not attacking you for your appearance. You picked like in that clip, I know he did in general, but you picked an awful clip. You had 73 videos worth of clips.
No, they said the first was supportive.
And
74 videos of clips.
72. Wrong way around.
There were 75. They said one was supportive.
Oh.
So 74 videos to choose from.
Okay. But in that particular clip, no, he's talking about the fact that you're a quantifiably unhealthy weight and that you need to partake in calories for your health. That's not anything to do with your looks. I know they could have picked a better clip.
I mean, the title makes it sound like it wasn't to a degree about the looks. The title of the clip was something like making ugly bodies look better.
But the title doesn't make the clip.
Yeah, no, the clip they chose was not.
And the clip
A
is
good
going to be
one.
what people remember.
Since I was pretty
Nope.
young, I've always been like pretty naturally skinny. But sometimes I think like I wasn't really properly taking care of myself.
Are you going?
Seems like he probably is doing a lot of this just to get like views, and I'm sure he's making a lot of money.
Her hand and arm are in a position that reminds me of how a body would look if you dug it up months after the person was deceased.
And those 100% absolutely look like the legs of someone who just got out of a concentration camp who had been nearly starved to death.
Drama constantly feeds the algorithm. Greg then realized that he could milk YouTube's algorithm if he intentionally kept creating videos about Eugenia Cooney.
Yeah, but are you going to just platform the concept that Eugenia wasn't anorexic? Because that's what you just did.
I don't know, they're showing images of her being actually anorexic.
Here's the thing. Yes, they're showing those clips, but you need to understand the context in which they're showing them. They're showing Greg saying those things. Greg's videos. While they're talking, the voiceover is saying, Greg was doing it for drama. Greg was just creating drama in the YouTube sphere to get money. Which backs up Eugenia's statement of, he was just being mean. I've always been naturally thin. Maybe I wasn't taking the best care of myself, but...
But anybody can look at her, even in this shot, and say, she is unhealthy. Look at her.
Yes, but here's the problem. What I'm looking at doesn't matter, because that's not what they're implying. They are telling us with the voiceover that Eugenia is right and that Greg is wrong and that Eugenia is not anorexic.
Did you forget they're bad at writing?
That's not an excuse.
That's the point is that they're bad at writing, and
Yeah,
through
we're
that
here to
are
critique
having
and
this
criticize.
issue.
That's why we're bringing up this issue. Because they're so bad at writing that they're platforming the concept that Eugenia Cooney is not anorexic and doesn't have a problem.
This one clearly seems to be more of a bulimia than an anorexia skit, so...
Oh yeah, this one's one of the bad ones. I know this clip, because this clip is infamous. This is the first clip this entire time that they've played... Well, not entire time, but it's one of the very rare instances where they play a clip and I'm like, thank you, that's exactly the clip you should be playing right now. You should have opened with this one. Well, maybe not opened, but...
The goal was to make money.
That's all you played?
I should go to hell for making that video about Eugenia.
That's all you played? You literally started playing one of the biggest pieces of evidence about how he did bully her. And literally all you play is a 2-second clip of him throwing up into a toilet about it. Oh my... The full fucking context of that clip is that he's pretending to be Eugenia again, and she's like, oh, you don't have to worry about it. I go to the bathroom through my mouth. Then that clip.
Yeah, that's still a bulimia joke, though. He doesn't even have the right mental disorder.
I know, but literally any chunk of that clip would have been more impactful than just showing him throwing up into a toilet.
In the outfit that was implied to be her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 other half-second clips they showed. Okay, I guess one of the clips was a bit longer where he did say it.
Like, I get maybe it's gross to you to have played 20 to 30 seconds of his content to lay out a proper explanation for why this is a disgusting, gross human being. But that's kind of your job and reason for being here.
This is a kids-friendly documentary.
It's not!
I know.
A detractor is someone who follows infamous characters online. I'm an Onision.
Hang on. Didn't you say in episode 1 that the internet was almost wholly on his side until Chris Hansen's investigation... Sorry. Until these women decided to tell their story?
I mean, can we just notice the fact that they pulled up a definition and then had him give an entirely different definition as the voiceover to that definition?
You dumb bitch talked about the site as if it was a child porn site. If you're gonna fuck with someone, don't fuck with one of the most honest people on YouTube.
What site?
I don't know.
What's the context of that clip?
Was it in response to one of those
I
people?
believe...
Who is she? You just showed 2 different she's that you didn't explain who they are besides, hey, this is someone on YouTube.
I think through external context clues, I think he's referring to a YouTuber talking about his forums. Remember how I talked about how he had the forums with all the underage girls?
Is this mentioned forums or just you? I think this mentioned that he had.
This is not mentioned the forums, no.
I thought it did.
It mentioned very briefly that he made online forums unlike other people, and that was the only line where they mentioned online forums.
I thought they said that he was messaging someone on a forum.
Yeah.
I feel like they mentioned that when discussing how him and Shiloh met.
Maybe. I thought that was internet, or was email, or instant messenger. But no, they haven't discussed his forums.
Also,
but
can I just say how weird it is actually hearing the people message each other on Skype? It's been forever.
But it sounds... I think that's what he's talking about, but they really don't... You had so many clips of him talking about being the most honest YouTuber, and you picked that one?
Well, it said she, and we just showed some female people, so they'll presume it's one of them that he's responding to in this video.
October of 2011, okay.
Wait, didn't we have some stuff in 2012 already?
Yeah, I thought we did too, but I guess we're going backwards in time now.
I don't know who Taylor is. Or any of the other people on her list.
When people talk about the story of Onision...
But they're not using the canonical text, which was how Lanybot at the time contacted Greg. Because they've gone on the record repeatedly about it. About Greg saying, soulmate, where are you? And Lanybot at the time responded with, here I am. And then he DM'd them and was like, what makes you say that you're my soulmate? Why would you use an out-of-nowhere tweet, you know?
Greg and Taylor are married, much to the chagrin of Taylor's
She's already got that dead-eye look.
Understand why Greg assumed that the letter had to be one of his YouTube haters and assumed it was a YouTuber named Repsion.
Why would you bring up the fact that he thought Repsion did it when it's a known fact Repsion did not do it? And you're not going to say anything about that or make a point with it.
Maybe they said that Repsion said he didn't, and Greg kept saying he did, and that's all we're saying about it. That's all that's really necessary.
This feels like one of those things where you really didn't have a 3 hours worth of documentary, but you needed to stretch it.
That's what I'm picking up.
Lanybot is the name that Greg calls her. That's her new e-name.
What's your point?
Hey, Otter. I think it's really weird that I call you Otter in public because that's not your real name. But because we're on YouTube and sometimes I call you Otter, that's weird because that's your channel name.
How about just, that's my chosen nickname, and I've nicknamed my YouTube channel that. It's like calling you Ferret. It's like calling you Jay. Your name's not Jay.
I mean, it depends on who we talk to. A lot of people thought it was.
Exactly. We call you Jay so much people think it's your name, but it's not your name. He called her Laney-Bot. Yes, that was her chosen nickname. I don't tend to address her by name. I call her Babe. Darling. Sexy booty cakes. But the point is, you call your significant other, almost everyone calls their significant other a pet name. Are you really going to try and say that it's creepy that he has a pet name?
No, it's an idea. They didn't say she chose this name, so it's how he's controlling her.
I sort of chose my pet name for you out of nowhere, though.
If I recall correctly, she went by Laney-Bot all over the internet long before she got with Greg.
I don't know, she just changed her name. Right here on the timeline. Never used this name ever before.
That, like, you're bi, and I'm like, no, I'm not.
So I guess I accused her of being bisexual, and that's how it kind of started. This is something that I want for Lainey. Her happiness makes me happier.
I think that she has always been very confused, and I feel like...
Are you not going to discuss his, at this point, years of degrading bisexual people as automatically untrustworthy and liars, and basically saying that if you're bisexual, then no one can ever believe what comes out of your mouth? Also, are we going to skip over him saying that if you've been raped and didn't immediately go to the police, then you are worse than the rapist?
Oh, that's in part 3.
And accusing Kai of that, and Kai tweeting out, I guess, I'm to blame then? Because that was around this time as well, and you haven't touched on that at all because all of the rape stuff was long before this point. Or are you going to do another jump back in time to do another loop around? He has to...
Laney would
Now we're
then
in
come out
2019.
as a
Nothing
trans
interesting
man.
happened in those 7 years.
Don't!
Grooming is like brainwashing. And everybody is vulnerable. But most especially children. They're searching for their identity.
They did it again! They put a real definition on the screen and wasted all of that time with us Googling to the definition, full-on boomer style.
No, just a sec. I love how they just had to go full boomer with pausing to let you read, what is a simp? On the top line of the Google search to let you know what they were confused by today.
Then you let your expert say something totally different.
Or at least, with that one, at least they were vaguely similar.
Yes!
And to be fair, hers was more in the context of the question we heard.
That's why I'm...
Yes, it's just still funny.
It is funny that they decided to go with the shot of, hey, let's Google it. Hey, how do you spell grooming? What's a simp? Oh, G-R... Oh, that didn't give us the answer we wanted. There's the click down buttons. We need to remind boomers those exist.
2002. Oh, this is the... Okay. Wow, okay. That is the backstory for that lady.
Somebody messaged me who I thought was a boy around my own age.
Why are we veering off of the Onision investigation for, at this point, a good chunk of time?
Well, discuss what grooming really is.
I mean, clearly, what happened to this girl at 13 was horrific. But this story has...
to this documentary?
Exactly. It has literally nothing to do with this documentary. She wasn't picked up by Greg. She wasn't picked up by anyone in Greg's life. She wasn't even in the same remote area as Greg. Nothing that she's talking about has anything to do with Greg.
But she knows about online grooming.
There was grooming, the internet, and she decided to trust a user whose username was Boy. Maybe this is just the next half of this documentary is her.
It would make for a better documentary.
Oh yeah, no, this would be way better.
I very quickly learned that I could not overpower him.
Yeah, that knot sucks.
I knew he was going to kill me.
Look at that knot. The whole knot, like all of the ropes, shifted over under their own weight when she turned her hands.
The thing is,
you could easily just pull one of your hands out of that.
The point is not the knots, though.
The point is entirely the knots.
This looks like somebody was like, oh yeah, we need a close-up shot of some rope. Loop, 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 loop. Just hold it there, okay?
Why are you so bothered by rope?
This is supposed to be a professional level documentary that's going to sell me on Discovery Plus.
Alright, listen, we all know everyone on Discovery Plus wears a Magikarp shirt and is vanilla as fuck based on that beard.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly! Alicia Kozak has never met Greg or Kai Jackson in person, but as she is familiar with them through her work as an internet safety expert. Oh,
and by familiar with them through her work, we mean, hey, we briefed her on it before this interview.
So we just spent, what was that, 5 minutes on her story? And it was the closest to a true crime moment this whole documentary's had in an hour and 20 minutes.
An expert witness.
All of the YouTubers, I felt like they were my friends.
Your partner cheated on you.
Once again, that's kind of how YouTube and celebrity in general works. It's called a parasocial relationship. It's what makes YouTube function. Every YouTuber is like this to this day.
Mm-hmm.
And many, many major television stars will attempt to create this same parasocial relationship for the same gain. For instance, a great example of it are talk show hosts like Oprah or Ellen. They thrive and build their career off of this parasocial relationship. And they keep presenting this as a problem. And parasocial relationships can be a problem if exploited. But this documentary's writing keeps presenting the existence of parasocial relationships as a problem.
Presenting it is because it's targeting children. A parasocial relationship is a problem.
I don't know. I can give you an example of a healthy
parasocial relationship?
Markiplier.
Yes.
He's very healthy for anybody who watches him.
And it's targeted at children.
Yep. Well, children to late teen.
Yeah.
That's children.
That's what Greg's videos were targeted to.
Fair.
12 to 20.
But Greg is an unhealthy parasocial versus...
Exactly.
But they're not saying that. They're just saying
parasocial
relationship, and especially targeting children, is the problem.
Fair. But I was giving an example of a good one.
Yes.
Yes. And that's what we're saying,
is
that there are healthy ones. They aren't a bad thing. This is just going, and it attracted children, and they felt connected, and that's bad.
When just doing that isn't bad, like you said, Markiplier, Jacksepticeye,
Ottersoul.
I don't think a child on Earth wants to see this stupidity.
And you have the person who is in control, and then you have the person who is fighting to please that person, to do
Okay, can I just say one thing quick?
Is needed.
Can we not pop up the picture of the one clearly not in control as we say the one who's in control, and try and imply that someone else is going to show up, and then just hover on this shot?
There's plenty of images of Greg like hovering over Kai's shoulder. We could have gone with any of those and it would have been suitably creepy instead of...
Or even just, 2 pictures to demonstrate the point she's making here.
It's basic editing. I could figure out how to fix this in one instant. Take the same amount of time, take another picture of Greg, similar white background, probably super easy to find, have a picture of Greg and slowly be panning the camera down so that it looks like the picture's moving up, or just keep framing the picture up. And then have the picture also be moving slightly back. And as you reach the second person, turn the transparency down on that picture as you turn the transparency up on the same picture of Kai you had as it moves towards the front, but down. It emphasizes the roles. It makes it look like the other person's coming out from behind the shadow of the controller. Much more impactful. An extra, 15 seconds of work.
Lady sent me a photo in a sports bra and shorts.
Belly buttons.
Not illegal.
Romantic.
That I was supposed to send one back.
That's
I think in some ways, knowingly or not, she recruits.
I mean, that's
victims
still,
for
it's
her.
creepy as hell,
It
but
seemed
not
that
illegal.
she didn't.
And that's the problem, is that Greg and Kai skirt what is illegal and what isn't illegal, but it is...
To be fair, I do think this is kind of the point that they brought the expert in to make.
Mm-hmm.
Is it isn't illegal, the individual actions, but it
But it's
shows
creepy.
a pattern of leading to something illegal.
Exactly.
The thing is,
This part is done well, if only because they brought an expert in who probably told them how to do this.
You
Is it
keep
the same one
using that
picture?
same picture.
Is it because all the others are actually racy?
I doubt it. I think it's because that's all they have. Because if they had actually racy photos, then they'd be able to have a real case.
It seemed that Kai didn't necessarily want that. The girls didn't necessarily want that. But in my opinion, Greg is absolutely a master manipulator.
What gives you the impression that Kai didn't want that?
Well, if we extrapolate the fact that Kai was not in control, therefore she must not be allowed to express her own opinions. So therefore anything that does happen is something she didn't agree to, because if she agreed to it, Greg, as a master manipulator, therefore would not have allowed it, as denial of their wants is the key to maintaining control.
Nothing they've shown us says that Kai didn't want it. What they've shown us actually suggests that Kai did want it. And I don't question that Greg is a master manipulator.
And that Greg wanted more people to control.
But there are clips you could be showing us that show that much better. I've seen those clips. But you're not competent enough or know enough about the situation to find those clips without a YouTuber handing them to you. No, hang on. Are we to this part already?
I started eventually hearing from my friends, oh, I'm texting Lainey. Oh, I talked to Lainey for 3 hours.
Okay! So we've reached this point already. So, the person's name and likeness have been concealed. This is one of the victims that did not want their story told, that did not agree to anything with them, actively told them that they were not willing to be a part of this, and that they promised, not just Edwin's generation, but a lot of other YouTubers, that they would not use that story.
Or we're using Regina's perspective on the story, not the story.
Yeah, instead basically all they did was they had Shiloh and Regina tell those people's stories for them.
Young women who were fans of Kai's.
Look at that awful blur.
To have sexual
You can still see the whole face through that blur.
She was
Again, though, they're like, oh, other young ladies came and the videos were violent and sexual in nature. Because that's what comedy is?
Especially their exact brand of comedy?
Yeah, and especially back then.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not talking about
What?
a cast and a crew and a script. We're talking about real people. And real people who
Ah,
are being hurt.
cast and crew aren't real people.
victimized.
Yeah, you haven't suggested that these people are underage. You haven't given us their ages.
Well,
You haven't-
they didn't agree. We can't.
That didn't stop you from listing a lot of information about the other person.
Oh, Regina gave us that. She was her friend.
They were not only objectified, these girls became content. And
Yes!
behind the curtain,
That's called acting.
Yes! They were objectified. Yes, that part's wrong. They became content. Every actor becomes content. That part's literally a non-point.
What made our sisterhood was the trauma that we went through and the fact that somebody on the planet knew. We didn't have to tell them about it. We didn't have to go through the whole story. We didn't have to explain what it felt like. It was just like hand in hand. I know what you went through and I know your pain.
And then I sold that sisterhood the fuck out the moment that Discovery Plus offered me money.
money.
Wow, you fucking two-faced cunt. Oh my god.
Well, yeah, one face is the one we can see, and the other one's when they blurred her in one shot accidentally. They were just blurring everyone.
She's sitting there talking about this sisterhood that means so much to her, when she's the one that backstabbed this sisterhood after being the forefront runner of, we didn't agree to tell our stories. We need to stand in solidarity against it. Again, no, this is a new guy.
No, they showed this guy briefly in the first one.
Did they?
Yeah.
That's how it ends?
Well, yeah, there's an investigation.
The problem is, my favorite quote from that guy is, we're having a real hard time finding actual victims.
He could have been meaning actual victims as ones we can actually have evidence to be able to bring to court.
So yeah, that was scummy and not great.
I get why everyone hated them after 2, based on what you said that said they would do at least.
Mm-hmm. And 3 is the one that got people pissed.
Oh, there's the cat.
Alright,
Can't see my head.
so then we'll see you all in episode 3.
So you're actually uploading these as 3 separate episodes?
Yes.
Okay.
Good.